Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm Derek DuPont, storyteller, musician, and brand marketing lead here at Accepted.
And I'm Erica Spires, New York City actor coach with My College Audition and marketer at Accepted.
Today we're going to talk with Rachele Deluca with the Auburn University Department of Theater. We're going to talk about how they're getting creative and navigating the current pandemic.
For anybody who feels a bit resistant to or maybe very interested in starting some online events, Rachele has some great tips to help you get started.
Yeah, and she also provides some great perspective for students navigating the challenges and the opportunities of the current climate. So we got a lot to dig into, so let's get started. We're here with Rachele Deluca. Thank you for joining us, Rachele. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I think we were talking a little bit earlier about how seasons are changing. So you've still got some warm weather there, but we're both dealing with, in Columbus, Ohio and New York City, we're dealing with full winter mode pretty much at this point. So we're really glad you joined us today. Thanks for being here. And I think to get started, we'd love to just know a little bit more about you and about your program. So if you could just explain to us a little bit about what you do at Auburn, what that looks like day in and day out, and then also how you got there. So what brought you to this position that you're in?
Yeah, of course. So I am the communications and marketing specialist. That is my official role for the Department of Theater. And I have my hand in a lot of different pots. And so that includes recruitment. And then also I am the marketing lead for our full season production that we have for each year. So I have a couple of students that help me with that, but that's my main goal and what I am doing throughout the year. How I got to this position, I actually went to Auburn as a student. So I graduated with my communication degree from Auburn, War Eagle. And I actually went to the Disney College program for a semester for a stint. After that, came back to Auburn, had worked with the theater department for a little bit when I was an undergrad. So they were happy to have me back. I was happy to be back. Auburn is a lovely place and the department works really hard for these students here. So it's nice to be able to contribute a little bit on this end.
Nice.
How long have you and Auburn been connected with Accepted?
Oh, well, I've been working with it for 3 years. So I think it's been a couple years now because we were grandfathered in to the program. So 5, 6, maybe something like that. But I've been with Accepted since I've been here. So love it. Only system I know. And I appreciate the help and everything that goes on with it.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about, I know today we want to talk a lot about your scholarship day, because this was a day that was heavily impacted by the current pandemic. And I know that you got creative and did some interesting things to really make that work, and Accepted was able to help out in doing so. So can you explain to us what that day was like historically, and then what you had to figure out how to make it work this year too?
Right. So Scholarship Day, its original intent is to bring people on campus that are interested in the music theater program and also scholarship opportunities at the department. So that can be all the degrees, not just music theater program, but it is specifically also an event to audition for the music theater program for the upcoming fall. So right now, fall 2021, right? So originally we invite all those students that apply on Accepted to come visit us on campus. And it is an audition day, but it is also super fun and relaxed. We have AU Players, which is the student organization here on campus. They help out. They give like a full theater tour and also potentially a campus tour, which I know a lot of schools don't do. But being at Auburn is big thing of being in theater is being at Auburn. Like a lot of people love the atmosphere, love the family feel here. So our big selling point is Auburn, which is great because we're right there and it's easy. But like our mascot will come and visit us. It's always like a surprise visit from Aubie. And then they have a little mock interview in the morning. We all have lunch together and then the auditions in the afternoon. So it's a whole day activity and it's a huge engagement and interaction thing, which this year was like we're not sure about inviting all these people from around the country to come in and then putting these students in that position. So it was challenging. We kind of put off as much as we could, determining if we could have it on campus and the rules. And it was the same thing with Auburn. They just kept also putting off like small gatherings and 50 or larger. So eventually at the end of August, we just decided to do it completely virtual. So the challenge then was still also offering an Auburn experience through Zoom, because that's the platform we also use. So in that, my most important thing was communicating with these students, because originally they thought they were going to be on campus. So I had to send a lot of emails, a lot of one-on-one chats, a lot of video time, which is fine with me. Love talking in Zoom. I'm okay with it. So they were great in understanding and transitioning to it. They're great in stepping up and asking questions, which I think is really important nowadays, especially since our main communication can be text or email. So then we transitioned completely to Zoom, and we had a special agenda for each student. So that's how I kind of made it like still a little personalized. So we had an agenda for each student, had their Zoom rooms linked to it. We gave opportunities to go and have hours with faculty. So that would be one-on-one private conversations with faculty members who were gracious enough to donate their time, about 2 hours or so in the morning. We still had Albie come and visit. He played Pictionary. It was great. I loved it. AU players stepped up and they did a scavenger hunt, which ended up being the students' like favorite thing during the day. And then in the afternoon, we had the interviews, which was a long process, but I think after the full day of having to be able to interact with all these people, they were a little more comfortable with us at that point. And we also had an alumni panel. So I had students come back that had graduated from Auburn to talk a little bit about the program. Parents love to hear about opportunities outside of graduation. So that was also an opportunity for that. So overall, it was a good day. It was a process definitely in getting to that day, but it was really fun and I consider it a success. And so, yeah, I know I talked a lot. I'm sorry.
No, you're great. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. So this day was held in October, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that really early to try to get out the word, especially for like a lot of kids. I know I coach college auditions as well. A lot of them aren't ready until November, December. So how do you get the word out to so many potential students to make sure that they can take advantage of this day?
Yeah, so we start recruiting. It will come up actually December. So we'll start recruiting this December up until May-ish when we have all those conferences. And I'll take all those that were interested, all those contacts that I got, and I will start being in contact with them as soon as May, summer-ish. So with that being said, it's also difficult to reach numbers that I don't have, and getting out the word that it's this early. So I partnered with, accepted, and Haley. She's great. Loved working with Haley. And they were able to send out an email and a social media spotlight for me, which brought in a couple extra. It was great because they're also in further out states that we're kind of looking towards getting some out of state, potentially like a larger talent pool. So I loved being able to work with them. That email hit a lot of students that I wasn't able to reach. And it was good. And I have done paid media before, but we don't necessarily do it at Auburn as much. So I liked also being able to experience that on that end.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that you had success with marketing. Haley's a genius, so I'm not surprised by that, but it is cool to be able to reach people that you normally wouldn't have access to. And especially, as Erica said, with this being so much earlier than people expect, it's really hard to get the word out there. So I'm really glad to hear that had success for you. So with your day being online, I can't imagine logistics of that. It sounds like just a crazy undertaking. So first of all, mad props to you for pulling that off. It's really cool. And I'm sure your team. put in a lot of work to make that happen. But it sounds like, so I picked up on your keys to success for that really were communication, so over communicating, it sounds like, with just as much email as possible. And with that, being open to questions. So making yourself available sounds like a big part of it too. So maybe more than normal, where if we were to invite students to campus, then you're automatically open and you're accessible. But with it all virtual, you kind of have to be more overt with that, right? So being open to emails or texting, even as you said, whatever that is to make that connection. Setting expectations sounds like a big one. So making sure that people know what to expect going online, knowing that, hey, this isn't going to be the same. Obby is still going to be there, so that's a big perk. However, it's not going to be the same as being on campus. So just knowing that. And then I think another cool one that you pointed out was finding ways to personalize it, which I think is super big, because we hear from tons of our partners that the biggest concern for taking these things online is losing that personal connection, losing the personal, just getting to know these students and letting them know you and your campus. So finding those touch points that you can make it personal in any kind of way. So with those things in mind, is there anything else that maybe going into this you didn't expect to learn, that was either successful, that was a really cool outcome, or even a lesson that you learned where like, next time we're going to make sure that we do whatever this might be? Is there anything like that you'd like to share?
Goodness. I can't really think of anything other than what I've mentioned. I will say I know that a lot of theater departments don't necessarily have someone that like me that is like dedicated to this. So I don't know if they can maybe ask their college for help out with that. I would have loved to use Audition Room. I got to take a demo of it, but it wasn't ready for when I had it. But I think that's a great process. And I guess brushing up on your technology too. I think that's a big thing moving forward. Even if we start introducing things back in person, it's still really important as generations just get more techie. Would have loved to do text messaging. Don't have necessarily capability to do it, but I love talking with students. I think that's something I learned personally about myself is you talk to these students and they're super passionate about theater. And a lot of students like have their goals set out for what they're doing after graduation. I remember being a freshman and not knowing that, but they're like, they know what they want to do, where they want to be, who they want to be working with. And so it's important to have those steps for them. I think that's something that I would suggest is not only telling them what you're going to give them at school, tell them what you can give them after school. And I think that's why I brought in the alumni panel, is to show them, hey, you can still be successful in this path, even if you don't go to conservatory or necessarily are working every semester, things like that. So I came up with it. I just had to work through it.
That was excellent. Did you find, you mentioned with working with Haley, you found a few other students that maybe you wouldn't have found otherwise. Did you find that some of the people coming to this online virtual event were like, was there anybody who was from a particular place that you were like, wow, I can't believe they actually made it to this, or they wouldn't have been able to fly in for this before? How did that change the type of student that you found? Maybe not just demographically, but were you able to find like a different kind of quality of student as well?
Yeah, so we actually had, I think, one from Arizona, and then another from Connecticut. So those are probably a little outlier ones that we don't find a lot. We'll have a couple from like California every once in a full moon, but so those were students that were brought in through that marketing campaign. And yeah, I don't think even if we weren't in a pandemic, I don't think they would have come to visit. And they ended up attending the full day online, super interested in the program. So that was exciting to see. And it was nice that we were able to still offer an opportunity like that. So I don't know, maybe moving forward, we do an in-person and potentially something online. so that students still get to engage even if they're not able to attend.
I love that, finding the silver lining of this, right? It's like, obviously this is horrible and it's not ideal, and being able to find just like positive points throughout this. So yeah, these students that would normally never would have made that travel, they probably would have looked at just the programs nearer to them and just not have explored out beyond that. But being able to do it all online, we've seen this kind of across the board, is that the spread is just so much greater, and it's the accessibility, the opportunity. It's just opening up these really cool doors. And I love that you said, considering this even after this, when things, get back to a place where we can travel more freely, and it's just we can be in the same room and have these conversations, right? But still doing the virtual aspect, because it does open those opportunities. So I want to change the perspective just a little bit here. And I want to talk about the artists. So the students coming in, what advice would you have for them in this situation? So just like broadly, right? They're exploring these programs. They're looking at audition days all over the country. And they now know, like, okay, maybe I can look at places that are outside of what have been my normal school list, my program list. What advice would you give to them when they're starting to look and make these decisions, and they're maybe hesitant about doing things online and what the next year will look like? What advice would you give?
My first advice to them is don't be disheartened. Apply, apply, apply. We're definitely not the only school that is trying to recruit more. And if anything, the pandemic has hastened that it hasn't slowed anything down. It's not like, oh, we're going to slow down our recruitment. It's more than anything, what can we do now? It's not a boundary. It's like, oh, we can do so many other things online. Let's do this more online. Like, we're going to more conferences. We're doing a showcase in Tennessee this weekend, and we never would have had this opportunity if it wasn't for the pandemic, actually. So don't be disheartened that you can't actually go in and attend in person. Make sure your tapes you can hear them and they're well lit. Make sure you hit that time limit. I will say that it's important, even if you are like showcasing more, hit that time limit. Do the pieces that are requested, because they are looking for instructions, if you can follow instructions. But yeah, apply, apply, apply. If there's no fees or very small fee, apply for it, attend that Zoom event, because you can, right? I would say do as much as you can. If you're interested in going somewhere else, you could potentially still get a scholarship there. Things are changing in a lot of ways for the universities across the country, not just theater departments. It's all universities are reevaluating everything they do for recruitment and eligibility and admissions and scholarships. So it's a good year for them. They should take some risks.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Yeah. I know a lot of students are expanding the amount of places that they can apply to, because now they're like, well, I'm not paying for a flight. Let's throw in a few extra applications
Exactly.
and see what happens. What are the things that you might tell your potential theater students who might be looking at Auburn, or maybe they know nothing about Auburn? Like, and this often happens, right? When we have students who they know the big 10 schools, and then they know the schools right around their area. So why should they take a look at Auburn?
Why Auburn? That's our favorite question. We love the question, why Auburn? So the biggest thing about why Auburn for the theater department is we are unique in how we teach our theater practitioners. You will be obviously focusing on your specific discipline. So say music theater students, they are in studio classes, they are in productions every semester. But they also get opportunities to expand and experience other areas of theater. We have a course called Practicum, which most departments probably have this, but you are working in areas scenic, lighting, costume, production management, if that's what you are also interested in. So you learn all aspects of theater, and we're teaching what we call a citizen artist. So you are a person that is very skilled in theater in one discipline, but you also understand all disciplines. So that's what makes Auburn unique when you're coming for the theater department. And I think that is a huge selling factor for us. The university itself, sorry, that's my puppy.
It's okay. I've had some cat issues here. I had to take off his collar because he decided to get very noisy today.
Okay, he just wanted to say hi. So another selling factor of Auburn is Auburn itself. I mean, yes, we're a huge football school, so that can be a big attraction. And actually in theater, we also love football. It is a huge part of our
That is
community
unique.
and our culture also. We don't have productions on football days. So they still get to experience that. It is a true Auburn family. You come to the campus and you love it. And even though right now there's not many students on campus, we're still having other students come and tour, and they still love the campus and the people that they experience, even though limited. So that's another big factor of being at Auburn.
That's awesome. So, Rachel, thank you so much for sharing with us all of this. I think it's been really great. And I think that it will be really impactful and interesting to those who listen as well, whether artists or other organizations or programs looking for advice, since you've been down this path already and are doing a really great job at it. I think the last thing that I want to ask you is, what is keeping you going right now? Because I know that, we're all in the arts here, and it's been a really hard year for the arts, just to be honest. And we also, a lot of us wear a lot of hats in the arts, right? Especially in programs at universities. I know that it's, I've worked in there. I've done this too. And you carry a lot of weight and you do a lot of different things. And then this year is absolutely no different. If not, it's more weight, right? So what is it that's keeping you going? What are you fueled by right now?
Yeah, so I think an important thing that one of our faculty members actually brought up is there is an after the pandemic. There will be a time where we'll be able to gather in person again. You know what I mean? So I think that's one thing that's keeping me going. The students are also a huge part of it, because even though they're not able to produce productions as they usually do right now, it's still important that they're getting their work done. They can't get back this year, so it's important that we're still there to give them what they need. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you. And I guess before we close up, is there anything else that you want to share, either about your experience, about Auburn, or just in general before we close? Anything else that we missed that you want to share?
I think that's it. Just a big war eagle from all of us here in Auburn.
Awesome. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you. Have a great day.